Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Wow, wow, wow. As we say here in America, holy crap. You're not going to believe this game. White, now playing for the United States, Fabiano Caruana, top world-class player. And his black, current world champion from Norway, Magnus Carlsen. You're going to want to see the game, but the videos at the end of this, where it shows time scramble and what happens, and then interviews from Magnus as well as Fabiano. You're not going to believe this one. Anyway, folks, let's get to it. Caruana is white. Carlsen is black. It's going to be a closed reload. We'll just go through the opening here. I don't go too crazy with opening theory. It's pretty much standard stuff. We'll just go through it. Knight c3, castles, a3. Typical close, reload pay stuff. d6, rook e1, queen d7. That's the last book move according to the computer. Okay, let's take a look at this. We're through the opening now, at least the theory part of it. White does something that you see once in a while, reload pay. He goes knight to e2. And what he's going to try to do is transfer. So now you just try something different. Knight to d8. Seeing some interesting moves here. So Caruana goes knight to g3, knight to e6. Now I've got my computer on off screen. And honestly, it's about even. Tiny advantage for white. We've all seen this a million times. It's typical reload pay position with the bishop's back on b3 with the escape square on a2. Sometimes it's c2. Bishop a2. He does move the bishop now, which I was a little surprised at. Knight to f5 looks pretty good, actually. I kind of like that. The light squared bishop can't chase off the knight. Going to force him to move the g-pawn if he wants to get rid of it. Or back the bishop up at d8, which disconnects his rooks. But he decided to go bishop a2. Rook comes over. Now instead of knight to f5, he goes knight to g5. d5, knight takes, queen takes, and then bishop comes up. Okay. He kicks the bishop. Caruana takes. Magnus takes with the bishop. For those of you that were wondering whether if you want to take with the g-pawn, which would be foolish. Knight to f5, rook, queen. Bad news. After bishop takes, queen f3, c6. Doesn't really want to block that bishop in, Magnus, but he's got to reinforce that pawn there. This is an interesting move here. Knight to f5, the computer still likes, and so do I. c4. That's telling me Caruana's going after it. Rook a to d8. Now, of course, when you take, you can't retake. You can retake, but look at this beautiful stuff. C takes, knight f5, bishop g5, h4, kicks the bishop, bishop d2. He finds a way around. Pawn takes, d takes. Look at that bishop all the way on d2. Isn't that weird? So let's take a breath here. It's a fairly complicated position, believe it or not. Of course, we see the queen's being attacked. It's going to have to move it, but it's an even game. I think it's a very strange position as well. No isolated pawns on each side. Symmetrical pawns. We got a bishop for a knight. Queen goes to f6. And this is an interesting move here. And the computer agrees. And I'm not really sure as to why. But g3. I guess you're trying to guard the f4 square. You don't want anything to get in it, especially that bishop. King to f8. Yeah, maybe not so accurate. What to do, what to do. I guess it's better than nothing. Now, I like rook to d1. That's the move I like here. But he decided to go h5 instead. Maybe just, so if he does kick the knight, Pawn takes, exposes the king more. That's the only thing I can think of why he would do that. Bishop g5. That's a good spot for that bishop. Where else would he really go? a4. Just to bust up the queen side a little bit. B takes is probably a little bit more accurate, but he went b4. Who am I to question the world champion, for Pete's sake? a5. And that kind of cuts off that b pawn now. King to g8. Bishop. Rook d7. I do want to say that they were starting to get some serious time trouble here. We're on move 29. Now you're going to see the video at the end of this, what really happens in the time scramble at the end. But Magnus was up fairly good in time, and Fabiano's time was slowly running out. Rook to a4. Now it's looking like Fabiano is doing well. It's an overpoint advantage, which is a lot for these guys. King moves again, basically a waiting move. Rook takes, g6, h takes, f takes. At this point, we're on move 32. If memory serves me correctly, Magnus had about 9 or 10 minutes to Fabiano's maybe 2 minutes. And this is where Magnus starts using up his time. Queen to b3, bishop c6. The time is just running now. We're on move 33. Now these guys now at this point are both down to a minute and a half for 7 moves. They're just playing an instinct, and it's a complicated position. Caruana, knight e3, Magnus takes, bishop d5. Computer has it as dead even. Bishop takes, knight takes, queen c6. We're on move 36. These guys are down to seconds. Now I do want to say there is no increment in these time controls. You don't get an extra 30 seconds, and there's no delay. The time is the time. It makes for exciting chess, but it's really, really tough on the players. If I'm trying to remember from the video, which you'll see, we're on move 36. They probably got about 20 seconds each, less, to make 4 moves. At one point, it was 3 moves in 5 seconds. Now they're on pure instinct. Knight c3, queen f3, queen to c2, rook e to d8. Instinct just double him up. I mean, he's down. He's on move 38, and he has 4 seconds left. Rook b to e4, dead even on the computer. The top 3 moves are all 0.00. Can't get any evener than that. Rook d2, and this is where Fabiano blunders. He has 1 second left to make his 40th move. We just completed the 39th move for black. And he just moves the move. Plays rook takes. And it's over. Absolutely over. Magnus just takes it. And it's over. As you can see, he can't stop the mates. Give you an idea. Queen takes. Queen has to take it or it's mate. You're down a rook for a queen. We'll just go through the next few moves. It's hopeless. Absolutely hopeless for white. And that's where Fabiano stumbled. Right, this position here. With 1 second left on his clock. He just takes rook takes d2 without thinking. And then when rook takes, it's over. Wow, I'll tell you, what a horrible loss for Fabiano Caruana. You'll see in the interview, he's not too happy. Magnus, of course, you know, a win is a win. So there it is, folks. A really, really wild game. Don't miss the video at the end with the time scramble. Also, the short interviews for both players. And I got to say, I think my saying is more appropriate now than ever before. If you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Not the precise moves by Caruana, but he doesn't care about
He
precise
just wants
moves right now. He just needs moves. As long as he's
moves are
even
good.
when it's at the end of it, he's got to make 5 moves in 11 seconds. That's, what, 2.2 seconds a move. Can he pull this off
Can he do
and
it
not
without
blunder?
making a blunder? Exactly. He certainly physically
And
he
Magnus
can.
is
Magnus
not-
has tons of time, Yasser. He's
40
got
seconds?
He's got over 30 seconds. This is
I
all,
wouldn't consider that
time is all
tons.
relative, right?
Oh, yeah.
37 seconds ticking down
But what is he
quickly.
Gonna do
What is
in
he
this
thinking
position?
about?
Is he just going to take on d5?
He could actually do anything. He's perfectly fine. Bishop f3, bishop takes d5.
I think
He's
Bishop
fine
f3
in all
is the best
moves.
move because that's the one that Fabi's probably thinking about a little bit less because it's not a capture. So I would play Bishop f3
That's
if he can.
definitely the trickiest.
That's
but
the
there
time
is-
pressure move.
He
And he
did
has played
take
Bishop
on
f3.
He did take on d5, and knight takes d5, and queen c6 has been played.
And now we've got 15 seconds to 8 seconds.
Bishop d5, knight d5, queen f7, Morris.
Queen c6.
Queen c6, knight c3.
Knight c3 now. Queen f3.
5 seconds left. 4, 7, 6, 5.
Oh my! Look at this! It's insane. 4 seconds. 2 down, and they have they made time control?
No.
No, somebody
has
lost on time.
Somebody lost, and it looks
But I
like it
don't
was
know
Caruana. It looks like it must
I
have been
don't know who it
Caruana.
was.
He went down first on the clock. I believe I saw that happen, and he shook hands with Magnus. That is crazy. The final position, actually, white is winning, but we need to see officially when the 2 kings appear in the middle of the board who actually lost on time. Move 38 was the last move we have registered, so clearly somebody lost on the clock.
I think you're right, but we're going to get that confirmation as soon as we can. People are saying Magnus lost. We're gonna get that confirmation, but what a crazy finale. I don't want to call the result yet because I'm getting contradictory reports.
All right.
But it's certainly, can you tell by their facial expressions?
King on d4, king on e5.
Is that right?
wins.
Does that mean black wins?
That would
Black
mean that
wins.
that would mean that Magnus won indeed, if that's correct.
I mean, the king is on d4 and black king on e5. They usually situate that.
That's a black win. King e4, king d5 is a white win.
Is a white win, right? So it looks like Magnus won the game, as we suspected, with Fabiano letting his clock tick down so much. Magnus shaking his head, surely not pleased with the game. But I can tell you Fabiano is a lot less pleased having let this happen if he did, in fact, lose the game.
Or is it possible that they both made time?
No,
No,
they couldn't
no,
have
rook
made
d2.
38
But after
moves.
rook to d2, oh, okay, it looks like there's 40 moves here.
And it is
on
official.
chess.com.
Magnus did win the game. With the Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana after an insane game, insane time pressure. What happened? What happened? We were just transfixed with you just sitting there, and both of you getting into that severe time pressure.
Yeah, I don't know how the position was. It was very complicated for a long time. I thought I was better around the time I played knight f5. But then he seemed to get a good position. I thought I had to start playing for equality. But then after he played king g8, which I think wasn't a good move, I suddenly thought I might be better again. And then it just became a bit wild. I think I was clearly better near the end. Yeah, and rook d2 was just, I didn't even think about my move. I had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, but even that should be enough to play any other move besides rook d2.
You could have just moved your queen away, you would have been okay. What goes on when, like, you're sitting there, you know you're in time pressure, you know you were down to a minute plus with lots of moves to play. What's going on in your head? Are you still focused on the board, or are you thinking about the clock? You think about both? What's going on?
Well, it's not a good situation to be in when you're so low on time, but I mean, sometimes it happens. And I was just trying to anticipate his moves so I could save a bit of time. And for some reason, this queen b3 took me a lot of time. I wasted maybe 20 seconds or so, which I could have used later on. The problem at the end was that I had stopped keeping score, and I didn't know which move we were at. So I didn't know if I knew it was move 39 and I only had one more move to make, I would have taken more than half a second. Yeah.
Indeed, you captured on D2. This is a crazy game, a crazy start, considering last year how well you played. What do you do now to continue this, now that you're down 0-2?
Yeah, I don't think I started the tournament with Rd.2 before. We'll see. I'll still try to recover in the tournament. I think today was mainly an accident. I mean, it could have gone either way. He was also down to a couple seconds. He also could have blundered something. But yeah, I mean, these things do happen.
Tough game. Well, thanks for joining us, being gracious enough to explain your thoughts, and good luck in the rest of the game.
Thanks.
Fabiano Caruana after a very difficult time pressure loss. Number one, Magnus Carlsen after a smooth victory, Magnus? Wow, that was heart palpitations for us. I'm sure it was much more for you. What were your thoughts when he was at 1 minute, you were at 11, and all of a sudden you were almost equal on the clock?
No, it was crazy because I thought I was fine after the opening, and then after knight f5 with this bishop g5 stuff, I had so many different options there, and I thought I was fine anyway, but there was just so much to calculate, and again, I sort of had enough time later on, but then it got a bit out of control. I think my king f8 was stupid. At that point, I was trying to play a bit provocatively to get winning chances, but then I mean this b4 stuff and so on. That was that was just a bit too much.
You ended up in a bad situation when you played a5. It looked like you were in a bit of trouble right there.
Yeah, and after a5, I realized that I might be in trouble because I thought I could always force a draw with g6, takes queen b3, and he gives perpetual on g8 and on and h7. But then I realized that after he's played a4, b4, he can actually take my bishop on b7 after he's given a check, and the queen is no more trapped as it would be after rook e7 when the pawn is on b5. So then I realized that there was no, emergency exit, and I thought I should probably start playing for tricks. I mean, from a practical point of view.
World champion plays for tricks, huh? We thought you just played smooth, easy chess.
And then I think he'd missed this little trick with when he went for the b4 pawn. I think he'd missed this trick with rook b6, queen takes f5, and so I guess he was sort of lucky to have queen b3, and then I felt like I should probably be better, but I couldn't find it, and when it went this bishop d5, I realized that I couldn't go queen f3 and take the exchange because my king would just be way too exposed, and but then I found out soon after I took on d5 that I was even worse, and I just tried queen f3 and rook d2, but it's hard when you have a couple of seconds. I mean the move that he made, rook e2, is just rook d2 is just a reflex, and it can happen. But if it just played queen b3 or maybe even queen a4, then I would be in for a long night probably.
When you're in that kind of completely crazy situation, you're telling us all these thoughts that you actually had, these tactical ideas, but your heart must be beating at a mile a minute in that situation, because you could lose on the board, you could use on the clock, he could lose on a clock, maybe he'll blunder. I mean, is it just complete chaos going on in your brain, or you're trying to keep it together?
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to keep calm. One thing is when you're playing blitz games and you're sort of in this blitz mode, but when you're playing classical games and you suddenly have to switch into blitz mode, it's very hard. But I guess probably we did spend a little too much time early, because around, let's say from move 20 to 30, then we could really both have used more time, because the position was still very complicated and there aren't so many clear guidelines there. I guess that's really been my main problem for the first 2 games that I've been to impractical, but fortunately today my opponent was impractical as well.
Final question for you. Can a game like this spur you on? Can it feel like, okay, at least I got the win and now it's time to try to put some wins together?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel good to win. Yeah, in my situation, with my recent form, I'll take any win I can get.
Understood. Well, we wish you the best in the rest of your games.
Yeah, thank you.
World champion Magnus Carlsen giving Norway a chance to breathe. I'm sure all of Norway's happy after that victory. They'll take